Welcome to this week's episode of Mindset Mentoring for Athletes, Families, and Entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Coach Chuck. And this week we explore the journey of resilience with Romeo El Chaer, from personal tragedies to becoming a beacon of hope. Romeo shares how transforming personal pain into empowerment can not only change lives, but also inspire a community. Discover the power of resilience, the importance of community support, and practical strategies to overcome life's challenges. So stay tuned for that.
According to the CDC in 2023, over 10 million teenagers reported experiencing persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness. 10 million. And it's not just teenagers. Over 51 million adults struggle with mental health challenges every single year. Parents, this isn't just statistics. It's our children. It's us. And it's a wake-up call. But here's the thing. Knowledge and awareness is a first step to change. Yet the most important knowledge, the kind that can truly transform lives, is rarely taught. It's not about memorizing facts or getting perfect grades. It's about learning how to train your mindset. At the Unstoppable Mindset Masterclass, we'll teach you and your family how to take control, how to overcome limiting beliefs, tackle financial stress, and rise above the challenges that hold you back. You will gain tools to build unshakable confidence, foster resilience and grit to handle life's toughest moments, and turn habits into rituals that drive lasting change. Imagine the relief of watching your teenager face life with hope instead of hopelessness. Imagine equipping them and yourself with the mindset to not just survive, but thrive. Visit unstoppablemindsetmasterclass.com and register to take the first step towards your transformation.
Welcome back. And today we are honored to introduce a man whose life reads like a saga of resilience and remarkable turnaround, Romeo El Chaer. A dynamic resilience speaker, esteemed life coach, and entrepreneur, Romeo has mastered the art of turning profound personal adversity into powerful, inspiring narratives that captivate and motivate audiences across the globe. Romeo's journey into the realms of inspiration and empowerment began following a life-altering incident that resulted in the loss of an eye. This event marked a pivotal shift, steering him away from despair and towards a path of profound personal growth and self-discovery. Amidst the challenges of relocating to the U.S. during the turbulent times of the pandemic, Romeo has not only rebuilt his life, but has also dedicated himself to helping others navigate their trials with grace and courage. Through his engaging talks and sessions, he crafts a compelling message that scars, whether visible or hidden, are not merely marks of pain, but are badges of survival and gateways to deeper understanding and growth. His storytelling does not just tell his tale, but lights a path for others, encouraging them to thrive through adversity and to assist others along their journeys. Romeo impacts lives by advocating for a world where adversity fuels growth rather than defeat. Romeo's work is a testament to his belief in the transformative power of resilience and faith. He embodies the spirit of true resilience, proving time and again that our greatest trials can lead to our most profound triumphs. Let's dive in to this conversation with Romeo El Chaer. Welcome, Romeo.
Hey, thank you, Chuck, for having me here.
Well, it's my pleasure. It's an honor to have you. You have quite a story to share. I'm looking forward to having you share that. So, why don't we begin? Why don't you kind of begin by telling us, those early kind of childhood formative years and how that kind of led you or influenced the direction your life took and where you're at today.
Well, Chuck, I was born and raised in Lebanon in the Middle East. And during the days, it was early 70s. So it was very hard times. And it was really, the beginning of the civil war in Lebanon. And during that time, I was around the age of 3 when we went up to be away from a war zone to be at our grandparents' house in the mountain. So it's where I went out to play outside to discover the area, the scenery, which was so beautiful. So it was fun, and I met a another young kid. So we went playing outside and we decided to play robbers and cop. And for that to make it more exciting, so we decided to craft weapons so we can fake the scenery and make things to be looking cool and to enjoy the time and with more reality. We crafted for the other kid a bow and an arrow and made from a branch from the apple trees that my village is renowned with. And we made also an arrow and he aimed at me and we were laughing about this because we just did this, it's handmade by kids. And he launched that arrow and in an unexpected way that arrow went straight into my eye. And that was a devastating reality that happened to me at the moment and it changed my life forever because the result of that is not only losing the sight in my eye, but also losing the shape of my eye. So I was taken to the ER, went into the operation room immediately on an urgent way. So they just stitched the eye and make it look a little bit acceptable, but it was not the same. So I had two different eyes. One is normal and one is bluish, and it was so awkward. For me as a kid, I didn't had much to think about. I was growing in my neighborhood within my family, so all was good until the age of 11, 12, something like that, when you start your teenage life and you want to go out and you start to discover your identity and who you are. And that's where the big shock, that's where everything hit hit me bad. It's where, I was searching to be loved and to love, have a girlfriend, going with the guys to parties or to going out to do things, activities. So I was not that kids that people wants to be around. I was the kid with the eye, and that was so awkward to me because wait a minute, I didn't ask for that. I'm like that. But people, kids especially, they want people. They look different way when something is open in front of them and they cannot deal with it. So I was rejected somehow, and in some places I was bullied verbally by, oh, to his eye, yeah. So there was verbally things that it was engraved in my heart, but I couldn't do anything about it. So that start was so heavy to handle for a kid that trying to build his character, build himself, and build the right mindset to move on in his life. So that was the start of my childhood that impact all my life from that moment.
Yeah, it's interesting as you said that it wasn't obviously it impacts you and all, but you were young enough initially that you don't remember the emotional kind of trauma as much until you got to be like those teen years. Is that so? Those, which makes a lot of sense from a lot of reasons, because teen years we we're really hard on ourselves. So if you have any sort of situation like that, that makes a whole lot of sense. Now, during those teen years, can you think about like what a driving emotion was? Was there a lot of like excuse me, a lot of anger? Uh, was there sadness? Was there guilt? Were those kind of emotions playing in on you that you remember? And how did that influence how you began to react as a teenager?
Well, I can confirm to you that there was a bunch of everything. The anger, I didn't get it. I blamed God. I blamed everything, everyone. And I was so furious about what did I do to deserve this? What a child of 3 years old deserved to get that impact on himself. I didn't do anything. I was just a kid playing around. And even I asked myself how God, permitted this to happen. And at the same time, when you're trying to identify who you are. It's also another challenge at that age because, as a teenager, you're already misunderstood. And I felt like any teenager in my age understand me, nobody accept me, and all that stuff. And that caused things to impact me from different perspectives and in different ways. But you know, all that needs a personal approach from me. Despite all the anger, all the sadness, all the emotional situation I was going through during those days, it didn't hold me back from accepting and embracing myself and how I look. Because after all, it was not a tragedy all the time. There was things going on with me, within me, and with my surrounding environment that helped me to keep my mind in a good way and to be always focused on moving forward. And I had that hope all the time that things gonna be okay. Even that, you had this up. Let me refer to one thing that I missed before. So I was born in a Christian family, and that was so crucial to overcome what I had in my life. Despite my being like having these conversations, this awkward conversation with God from a Christian perspective, also it's awkward. But this is the relationship that I built with Him, and I understood because of my faith that God wouldn't do mistakes, and but also at the same time we're not in a world that it's perfect, so things happen, and that's one of them. But with the way I was raised and close from the church and from its teaching, I understood that things can go in a way that God can benefit something bad that happened to turn it into something good, not only to the person himself, but also to the environment or to the outside world, and can be something bigger than myself. So that gave me a lot of hope. And that calmed this turbulence in my life that I had during years. It's not about like, yeah, I just, when I got this, like, yeah, okay, all is good. No, it was not like that. I still suffered a lot about these emotions because they need to be, you need to embrace that from different ways and in different techniques, being so nice, being integrating with my community in different activities. So I was putting myself out there so I can overcome that obstacle that my eye put. So people started to see a different person. There's not only the kid with the eye, but there was also they started to see the shape of that heart and the things that I had within me to surface. It was not easy. It took time, but that was something that reduced my anger, reduced my, uh, I was not accepting myself at the beginning. That was hard too. But everything went smoothly, so the pieces start to come all together. So I was able to just overcome, maintain my insanity, to be like knowing what's happening with my knowledge and my age, and to be able to keep moving forward, hoping and having that positive attitude that I built during the years to see always the full half of the cup. So that's how I was able to contain all these frustration, misunderstanding, anger, just name it, but at the same time, the acceptance and embracing my situation so I can keep moving forward. Otherwise, there would be a grave consequences to what kind of decisions I could make into my life.
Faith is incredibly important. And you use the term bigger than ourselves. And that's one of the things that I often talk about as being the value of faith. And I've argued for a long time that mankind can't live without faith. The real question is, what are you putting faith in? I mean, we can have faith in ourselves, we can have faith in our family, we can have faith in institutions, man made institutions, we can have faith in something outside of that. God or some sort of spiritual kind of component. And part of my argument is the further removed we can get from man, the stronger those beliefs are that help us to overcome. Um, and also within religious kind of faith, there's this aspect of, and you mentioned it before. I might have been in the stuff you sent me before the interview thing about community, and that's what religions are very big on, that community. So can you talk about how much that helped too? So it wasn't, was it, were you hearing this positive message not just from your family but from community too? And how much did that play into your, that not just the physical healing but the emotional healing and that ability to kind of just keep going on and finding out what God's purpose was for you? How much did that community actually play into that as well?
Well, let me start by saying this. That was one of the biggest discoveries of my life. The most courageous act that someone can do in his life is asking for help. This is a crucial choice. We think that if we don't say anything, we keep things inside, then that means we are weak or we are fragile or we are not good or we're not worthy enough, we're not smart. Just imagine, just use any kind of vocabulary that you want to use there. But actually, when you realize, like, if you're drowning, do you call for help or you just let yourself drown? It's that simple. You are in trouble, you are having issues, ask for help. You can ask for your family, your parents, siblings, sister, uh, friends, cousins, just name it, neighbors. There is a community. We are meant to live in tribes. We're not supposed to live alone. And from all ages, tribes protect itself. When you join a tribe, that tribe will protect you and you will protect the tribe. That's how it works. And it's still till these days, everything is the same, nothing changed. Even if there is some awkward individualism that is happening around, but that doesn't mean that we're not meant to be living in tribes. And with that, we need our community to survive. Without the community and its support, it's gonna be so hard, and it can be even affect your the way of thinking, your mindset, and even your thoughts. Where by when you're just dealing with hard stuff within your mind, that can lead to wrong decision. And at a certain time, when I was at that age struggling, I had those suicidal thoughts. I, I had them. But there is different when you're aware about those when they arrive, when they pop up, and then taking the action. So when you're aware about it, you don't take the action and execute it. So why? Because the people I was surrounded out there loved me. They cared about me. And they exchanged emotions with me. So there was some kind of understanding. It's not just, when I say I was rejected, it's not like it's 100% rejection. It's just how I deal with the situation by feeling the rejection, that I am rejected because my eye looks like that. So you see, it's just a cycle. So by being surrounded by the right people, you can have their support in different ways, like having a mentor. In my case, because I had a faith in God, so there was priests that I run into them and I seek them, like, hey, I need this. I like to understand this, why this happened, why how God do this, how He allows that, how He doesn't, all that stuff. I have to ask about this. If I was by myself, I cannot contain such wisdom because I was too young to understand that complicated situation. So I had to go for mentors to ask. At a certain point, even when I was in an adult age, I went to a psychologist to understand how I can, if things need to be understood, to reveal things, to uh, to get uh, into the bottom of of things that I went through, so to make sure I have the right mindset to keep moving forward in my life. So it's not wrong to ask for help, and this can be also by your friends. You know, there is always those nice friends. They will surround you. They love you as you are. And while I was growing in my neighborhood, so they were used to me. So those childhood friends, they always became my supporters, because they didn't judge me as how I looked, because we were playing, we were growing together. So that was a nice way to move forward, into life and not feeling you're totally alone. So that thing, those kind of support, if you put them into your life and you get involved with your community, that helps you a lot. And also, I joined Scouts for years, and that also gave me a lot of opportunity to express myself. And then people get used to me, and I was a good member in the Scout, and even I was promoted several times. I was enjoying this, and I didn't let my eye to be there. But also, my colleagues and in my platoon, they also like me as I am, and they accepted me. So it is how you deal with it. And I made a lot of volunteering work, by the way. Because why? Because when you put yourself out there, this is who you are. This is your nature. So people start to respect you and to see you and cherish you, and they thank you for the goodness you have within you. And I was not doing this for having pity on myself. I was just doing this because I like to be around people. I'm an extrovert, and till this day, I'm still like a real extrovert. So I'm used to live on like being surrounded by people, and that's what gave me, and that's where I always tell my clients: be out there, surround yourself with the right people. Even though we should always keep one thing in mind: being open to your community is wonderful. It's a great support, but make sure to show your boundaries. There is always boundaries needs to be kept there so people don't use you, or people don't get into you with a lot of emotion. So they start, instead of just helping you, they start to making an overprotection, or to take things to a different level. Then instead of helping you to grow, they can just pull you back, because with their overprotection, they can stop you from growing. But just keep in mind to keep that little bit of boundaries out there, so make sure you don't get overwhelmed with others' opinions in your life, so you don't have a shape of your leadership later on in the future. But it's okay to ask for help. Actually, you should ask for help. You should ask for support. Let people understand and know that you are suffering, or having issues, or having troubles, because they can help you. There is an old saying in my country: if the baby doesn't cry, his mom won't feed him.
like that. Um, I talk about the power of synergy and the importance of trying to go through these changes that you're going through, the personal growth stuff that I teach, the mindset stuff, with other people, as a family, as a business, as a team, as whatever, because there's power within company, right? When you have that community. When the programs I ran in public schools, the kids I often got weren't involved in schools, right? They were kind of loners. They didn't fit in. That's was part of the issues that they had and why they were coming into our program. And we wanted to build a community within that group, and we were pretty darn good at that. But also to give them enough confidence so they could start joining community outside of that little class, right? So they could find other places, because people need to belong for lots of reasons, right? So finding those connections that are positive and uplifting and supportive are incredibly valuable. And so I wholeheartedly agree with those that whole piece that you were saying. So
let me
Yeah,
sorry, Chuck. Let
yeah,
me add
absolutely.
something which makes it will make sense. It's not only that at that age I had to do this. Also, don't forget that I moved to the States like 4 years ago. It took me 14 years for all the paperwork to be done and whatever it takes to make everything's like normal and legal. So I came with my family, and I had to start all over again from and that needed myself as an adult, and I was here like around the age of 47, 48. So that's an advanced age. So I had to ask for help, and I had to protect my family. And asking help, it doesn't diminish me. Actually, people showed up in my life because that I don't know. They start supporting me, and then I start to supporting those people by joining local, groups. Like for example, I moved from Lebanon to Maine up north because now I live in Houston. So when I landed there, and the population is very like it's condensed, it's very narrow, and after being established a house and established a place to live and supplied what needs to be supplied to protect my family and make them to able to sleep, eat, and have a shelter, then I joined the Knights of Columbus. And I start giving back to my community by being all over the place. Wherever there is an opportunity, I joined the choir. I was doing activities here and there. So, you have to just say out loud if you need something so people can support you because you're new and it's like starting fresh in a new culture, in a new world, on a new continent. It's not a joke. Nobody knows you and you know nobody. So I thank God that with my high education, it was easy to communicate with others because I have a master's degree, but that didn't mean that I was able to ask for support and help because I don't know what to do or where to go. So you ask, then you get an answer. And as it says in the Bible, like knock and the door shall open to you. So I'm not what, I don't know the verses exactly, but that's how it is. You have to knock on others' doors in a way that, with all the respect, so you can, some doors can open for you because you're not alone, because people are used to help others because that's how human beings are built and structured from the beginning. So even that at high age, at advanced age, I mean, like an adult, I asked for support and help so I can keep moving forward. And that was built up within me because during the teenage life, I was able to ask for help and support. So I keep going. So when I went back and I had a new bump, sorry, and a challenge to overcome, I asked for help. And look now how my life is going. And all people that supported me, we became friends, we became family. So it's not only about, yeah, in the old days you did this. This doesn't work like now, like that. And now, actually, it works excellent because when you know that you need support, you ask for it, you should get it because you're not alone. So it's just something it's that the resiliency that it's built within that gives you the ability to do that and at any age, at any level in your life, so you can keep moving forward and growing in a positive way. That's what I wanted to just add.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, actually, kind of a nice segue in because I wanted to ask you about that transition and how all that happened, and then you just brought up something else. So now there are a couple different directions I want to go here. But let's start with you're in Lebanon, you're a boy, you're going through all that experience. Um, there's war and stuff going on, and eventually, but it was only what 4 years ago, you finally were able to leave Lebanon. So so talk a little bit about what you were doing in Lebanon and how those experiences and business experiences and whatever it was you were doing helped contribute to what you're doing now? And that, I mean, you just mentioned that you were starting completely over, like totally over. So, man, there's a whole lot to unpack there. So can you kind of like fill us in a little bit on how that kind of came about? And there's two things, not just for you and your wife, but you have children, right? So so that move for them, and the emotional thing of starting over then. Can you kind of help us kind of understand those years and what was going on? And
Yeah, it's everything is related, Chuck. There
yeah,
is
yeah, yeah,
no single pieces. It's not like take it or leave it. Everything starts somewhere, and it keep going with in all your life. All the steps. Like with all that, let's say the hardship that I had during my growth, that built a resiliency within me. Built the resiliency within me to an advanced level. And in Lebanon during those days, also there was war. And actually, let's say it wars. It's a plural thing. It's not like one war. We had like over like just one step to another, one militia to another, one situation to another. It is crazy. But that didn't stop me to keep growing and looking things with an optimistic perspective to keep moving forward. So I was able to finish my studies, and I graduated. I have a BA in business administration and commercial sciences. Then I had a master's degree, and after that, I joined my professor, and I started working with him in his company as a quality management consultant. I loved quality management, and I think this came from my case, because of the because while I was growing, I was also building that. I was doing everything I could as far as I was able to do it to be a perfectionist. I'm not, but I was trying to be. And that kind of things that I was doing in my life, it just transferred to the career level, and I started enjoying the quality management consultant because it's about everything, the people, the system, the management system, the quality control. It's all the pieces comes together and makes sense to me. Like my mind was able to see all that and see how this is done, and I was fascinated by it. And then I started, and immediately I was, you know uh, starting from a junior level, I started growing within my career I did like quality management consult for a decade, and I was building. I just go into an organization, a company. I just study it as it is situation, then design this whole management system, build it on the quality standard ISO 9001, and then implement it. And the beauty of it, I coach people to move forward, to transition from the old system to the new system. And there was a lot of rejection because people are afraid of change. It was always, this is the thing. It's always like that. Don't expect people will change. Like, yeah, let's change. We change. No, they don't, because this guy doesn't know what he's doing. We've been doing this for a long time. He just doesn't understand the industry or whatever. But actually, we get it from them. Then we sort it out by the as the norm is. Then we sort it out and we implement. And during the implementation we coach. So you see how this is transitioning. Then after being for a decade doing this, then I decided like it's time to move to be an entrepreneur. So I was doing some freelance consulting here and there around the world between Africa and the Middle East, which is there is a lot of amazing countries: Saudi Arabia, UAE, Kuwait. There's so many places I went: Egypt, Ghana, Nigeria. So I supported a lot of organizations to build strategically their businesses. Then when I came back, I said, okay, now I need to move forward. So I was a partner in a company. We did electromechanical supply for construction businesses in Nigeria. And I was managing director, and I was a partner at the same time. During that, we reached the seven figures, and I was thriving in my life. And then that the recession happened in the state, uh, and 2008, and that made us to lose the whole business because Nigeria, all our business was in Nigeria, and even that we were diversified in different construction projects, small and big. But the problem is that all the construction project budgets were made on Naira, which is the Nigerian currency. When the balance and the economy, the Nigerian economy is based on the petroleum industry because they have huge reserves. When the balance went from $60 to $36 the barrel, every stop they had to do the re-evaluation of all the construction projects, and that stopped everything. With that, I was able also to overcome later on and get back on track and start all over again. If I didn't have that resiliency that it was growing within me and with the tendency of growing and kept the positive perspective within my mindset, it's kind of like it was built in within me. I wouldn't be able sitting here now doing this podcast with you with all that heavy background, with such crazy stuffs happened in my life that put me down so many times, but I was able to bounce back and to thrive as well. Why? Because I embraced my hardships, I accepted it, and I went further to see the positive out, output in my life so I can be who I am supposed to be and find my life purpose and mission. And that's what helped me. Everything is connected to be where I am today.
Yes. Excuse me. We are our memories, right? Everything just, it is all connected, all drives you through. Um, I do want to talk a little bit about your kids. So, can you talk about how that's been for them and like how old they are? But that move and the coming to the States and the adjustment of that can be a challenging moment for your kids. Can you kind of share a little bit with that and what that's been like for them?
Yeah, it's when in 2006 I had my first child, and he was at 1 year old. It's where in 2006 we had a devastated war. And then I decided that me and my wife, it's not the way we want to live anymore. So that my life was impacted by my son. He's 1 year old, 1 year old, and I cannot. I need to put him in somewhere place safe. So while moving forward in the immigration process, there was delays because of the session again, and we respected this. And during that time, we had another son. So we had first was Carl, and now then we had Michael in 2015. Um, I have to say that also I don't want to forget we lost four in between. So we are like we have six in total, two on Earth and four in heaven. So and that's a different story that we had to go through. It was painful because the pregnancy didn't work out and it didn't continue. So we ended by having two kids, two amazing sons. And when we had the time to move, so we moved in the state in 2021. So now I have my older son is 19 and a half, and he's in the Air National Guard, and he's doing amazing job giving back to the community because he feels how this country just hugged him and embraced him, and he's giving back to the community that he's living in. And now he just ended his second year in the Air National Guard. And this, the other kid, he's 9. He's doing excellent at school. He's now learning piano, and he did solo at church during Christmas time, and everybody like was shocked. So my kids now they are growing in a normal environment that they are giving the best of themselves to where we live. But let me tell you a small story about how, you know, with how I went into my personal life, impact how my kids deal with obstacles. My son, my oldest son, he had to go to the base for 4 days, and because he's a part timer at the Air National Guard. So I said, Dad, we have only one car, so I rented for him with a renting car, so he can use for 3 days because Sunday he can take the car and use it because I needed the car so I can take care of the family and my business. On Saturday morning, I received a call 6:30 or 7 a.m. in the morning. My wife woke me up. It's like, call is calling. And I thought this is not usual. And I know something happened. So, and the situation is that Carl called me and said, Dad, um, I just ditched the car and I'm safe, but the car was busted. So, and I asked him what he did, what to do. He said that he finished almost everything. The police came. He just slipped on ice. It was a little bit of ice, and somewhere like there is no traffic, so it was a little bit ice layer. So he just slid and went out the road, and and he handled everything by himself. And guess what? He went. His colleagues came and took him to the base where he continued his day life. It's okay. And that evening, I went to pick him up from the base, and I met the chief sergeant, and he said, "Romeo, you have an amazing kid." He just said, after he had this accident, he just continued his day working, and this is we need to respect this. He got this resiliency that I cannot see a lot with others, and that's how you impact your kids' lives when you don't overprotect them, but keep them prepared for when they get into problems or challenges or hardships. They are ready to have the mindset to work on how to solve them. And to be honest, when I woke up, everything was done. I said, then I took that to follow up with the company and to do that reporting and claim whatever it needs to be done. So I just did this, which is it's something that, but at the moment of the accident, he was able to deal with that. And that's what how this resiliency can be transferred from us as parents to our kids so they can also survive out there because at a certain time, Chuck, me and you, we won't be here to protect our kids. So what they will do if we leave them without minimum resiliency levels that we give them by just exposing them a little bit to life so they can see that life is not perfect and they can have issues, they will be so fragile. And that's why what we are having, what we are seeing now with all the mental issues that are going on in this country, and with the overprotection I was able to see because I come from different culture, I'm seeing like there is an overprotection that sometimes it spoil our children instead of making them strong. Don't be harsh and don't be like authoritative on them, but they need some kind of a discipline to see the image of men and the manhood and to see the image of the wife, which is the motherhood, and that make it balance in the way that they can move forward in their life so they can overcome obstacles. So you see, as I was saying, everything is interrelated. You cannot take one piece without the other. It's all connected. It's like a chain that you build by life experiences, and you transfer that to your kids, to your family, so you can give them this internal resiliency, internal ability to adapt and move on with the hardships so they can overcome those hardships.
Yeah, you talk about the kid piece, and there's two books that I highly recommend for parents that are, excuse me, very powerful. John Haidt was he's a co-author of one of them, the author for the other, but it was The Coddling of the American Mind and The Anxiety Generation, and both of them speak to that that subject that you just kind of talked about this tendency over the last generation, roughly, of parents to begin to overprotect. And in that process of trying to keep our children, quote, safe, we aren't preparing them emotionally, mentally for the challenges of life. And we actually doing more harm at that level than we are by supposedly trying to protect them. And there's some really great books. I actually subscribe to his. He puts out regular research, and he has a Substack subscription, so I get regular updates and all. But the data is it's pretty strong about the the dangers of not allowing things like free play when they're young and letting them kind of get those bumps and bruises and in those little scuffles where they learn how to even solve problems amongst themselves.
Yep.
And it kind of spoke to your point there. Uh, the the other question I kind of have for you is, so you are working with adults mostly. Do you work with adults and with teens? Who's kind of your target audience that you work with?
Well, I was lucky enough to work with different ages, and even my recent client, she was 15 and a half, and she had to. The coaching is about building self confidence at that age, so she can move forward in her life. And we had, and there was always also. I was reporting with everything that's happening later on by, of course, giving some things to my client, but her mother was involved to make sure that everything is going forward. And the mother and the daughter, they were pleased about the progress that she had because by communicating together, she was able to see that, the most important thing that she said one day, she said, "Oh my God, it's not only me." So you see, we think that it's only us when we go into the hardship. But then when you discover that almost everybody goes into hardships, and some things are so similar because our mindset at a certain age, it works like the same thing because we are in a discovering process. So we think that we are only that, we are, you see, just we are stuck there. So, and also I had the, also to work with different age with men, but mostly they were like around from 35 till 60. So that age, there was a lot of clarity that they needed in their lives and where they are heading, especially when transitioning from between careers and also about faith projection, where they want to go. So there was lack of clarity that they needed. They had everything, but it was there's something missing, and we go through a lot of this, and so they can get clarity about the next step, so they can build on and move on from there. And that is something that helped them to get the clarity about things because sometimes when you're submerged in the situation, Chuck, it's different to see further because there's a lot of things happening at the same time. So you have to maintain what you have, and you need to reflect. You need to have control about financial situation, family members, a business or a career, or a transition period, which is hard because you have to maintain the stability for your people that surrounds you and your insanity, and then to move forward to something which is now we know how the uncertainty these days is skyrocketing. Everything is making things harder than ever. And that's where people are seeking clarity about what to do next. Some people they have idea about what they want, and some people they don't. So that's where I'm helping them to figure out what's next in their life. It's not me telling them what to do. But with me, we reveal things and we discover, because that's the journey I go with my clients, by respecting their life perspectives and respecting their what they believe in and respect their opinions. And we move from there to dig in and to reflect so we can find what needs to be found through their own perspective, through their own thinking, but by, if you want to use the coach as the catalyst that helps the reaction to happen, but they don't get involved to be part of the chemical reaction. So that's how I act with my clients, with a lot of love and understanding. And because I had my that deeper thinking in my growth, I have the gift of listening and seeing, like seeing things between the dots and the lines, and that helped my clients a lot to move forward. But also, there is one thing that I've seen during my coaching, that I brought different perspective, like an added value. Like I see things from different perspectives sometimes that helps my client. We didn't see that before. Well, we didn't think about this in that way. So it helped them because I have some added value that others, they have different things than I said. I am unique. I can speak about myself. That helps my client to move forward. So the age is not the obstacle. It's the mindset about what they need from the future, what they want to do, and how they want to do it, and to find their life purpose or to build the faith in a direction that they can grow. So if you want, you can say that I have different ages, but it's all about growth and to have that resiliency within and to build the relationship with something bigger than themselves so they can see the positivity in moving forward in their lives at any age and to overcome the uncertainty that it encounter each one of us on a daily basis by and we need to take a decision. So that's the best way I can reply to what you asked me, because it's really a lot of things interrelated, so it can make the full image to be as much as I can. I was able to make it clear how.
Yeah, I say a lot that when people are at the level of their own, whatever the challenges they're trying to deal with, it can be really difficult to get that different perspective that you need in order to solve the challenge. And that's why our coaches or other people can help you out, right? They bring in a different lens and can, if they're good at what they do, can help you begin to get that new perspective that you need. And somebody like yourself who's been through so many different experiences has all of that to add too. That's why we do what we do, right? That's we can bring that in. We have that skill set to help people get new perspectives, look at things differently, help them make those shifts that they need to make. And the knowledge is often out there where they could do it on their own, but they can't see it because you're kind of trapped in that little box, and you can't really get out of that box sometimes without a helping hand. So um, that was kind of well said. Before we go, we are near the end. I would love if you would kind of explain that sign over your left shoulder uh, that says "Dream big and be brave and be kind and adventure awaits" with the arrows. Is there any uh, specific story or symbolism or things behind all that?
Well, when I saw that painting, it just hit me, and it's all about me. First the arrows, they changed my life, but you see, the arrows are pointed upper side. It's not downside. So, and that's what can destroy me. I used it to elevate me, and by being who I am, by being kind, being brave, and dream big. Come on, man. First, I came to the state. We know what does it mean, the states. It's like you fulfill your dreams. It's the American dreams or your dream. For me, that was like I can fulfill myself because XYZ. I watch a lot of Hollywood. So then to be kind and be brave, come on, to move from one country to another at the age around 50 and starting all over with a family, that's act of braveness. It's not a joke. It's not easy to come. And don't forget, let me add this. Before just coming to the state, we had an economic crash that there is nothing like in the whole recent economy, like in the history. So the deterioration of our currency, I just sold I had a Mercedes in Lebanon. I just sold it for 1,600. So to make a long story short, I came to the state with, we are a family of four, came to Maine, where you need to equip yourself with everything new because the cold of we came in April, so there was snow, there was cold, Maine. I had in my pocket only $2,000. So
Yeah.
that adventure awaits, definitely. And now I'm living in Houston. My kids are improving their lives, they're moving forward. My wife, she is thriving in her career, she's a nurse, and we're moving forward in our lives. So that when I saw that picture, it completes everything. This is my life story behind me. And this is how I can summarize everyone wants to be and to accomplish themselves. That's an excellent one. And there is something I want to highlight too, because I want to give everything back to my God for what He has given me from and how He was able really with His tremendous wisdom to transform what hurted me to something that gives me life and where I can help others to overcome what I went through by His wisdom. And if you see the books behind me, and that's what I always advise when you get support and if you have belief in something bigger than you, even that if you want to have a role model, go read their biography, go read about them, their values, their ethics, to see how they became who, what they accomplished. And for me, you can see here, that's the most important book, which is the Bible. And that's what I keep going through the Bible and living it, not memorizing. I'm not, I don't have this gift. I just live by the kindness and braveness. And I always look forward for a better life. So everything is there behind me just to simplify who am I and what I was able to do, not by my own strength, but by my God who helped me to do and to overcome and to thrive in my life.
That's beautiful. And one of the reasons I brought that up is I often encourage people to create, find something symbolic, some picture, some image, some imagery, put the books that move them on bookshelves where they see them regularly to remind them of those things. It kind of becomes that anchor. Music is a huge anchor. I advocate that, but any sort of artwork too, symbols like that, to have that around you, it can really ground you and keep you focused on where you're headed. So that's kind of why I was wondering about that. But well, thank you for sharing again. I love your story, the work you're doing. So going to be valuable, and I appreciate you taking the time out.
Chuck, thank you so much for having me, and it was a pleasure to me to share my story, and I hope that it will help someone that's gonna listen to this. So just to tell them it's okay, everything is gonna be good. Just keep yourself together and ask for support and for the loved ones and have faith because that, after all, what is gonna take you from one situation to another in a way you can never imagine. Be brave, be kind, and adventure awaits. That's I like this.
Well, thank you, and for all of you listening, again, take those nuggets, apply it, the knowledge, the wisdom that my guests share. when you begin to apply it, cannot not make changes in your life for the positive. So I encourage you to do that. For those of you who might have certain struggles going on, or you're, whether it's your teenager or even yourself, if you feel like you've got that glass ceiling above, or you see that they're struggling with that glass ceiling, reach out, because there's a lot of data out there that's not positive about people who are struggling with their emotions and the stress, anxiety, depression, all those things. They put this glass ceiling on their life. And if that describes you, then I encourage you to reach out to me. I offer now, for anybody who listens to this show, my strategy session, which really is about strategizing. I am going to be asking in this half hour. It's free of charge. I usually charge $175, but my job in that half hour is to try to find out what it is that might be getting in your way from achieving those things you want to achieve, and giving you a blueprint and saying, this is what I found, this is what I think you need to work on, here's some strategies. I have other programs that I can help you with, but you can also take this and go with it. So I would encourage you to reach out and go through that process. It begins with just getting in touch with me, coachchuck360.com, coachchuck360.com. You'll see that's at the end of this little clip. And once you're there, send me a text, first name, last name, best email, podcast gift, and I'll make sure you get that link so it's free, so you don't pay anything. And we can have that conversation. We can form that strategy, and I can give you a real blueprint on what might help you and or your teenager. So until the next time, enjoy and live life to its fullest.